Our first guest on the show today are half of the indie folk power pop group Shred Kelly. This past fall, the band released their sixth album, Blurry Vision. They toured with their pals Elliot Brood and headed to Europe for a run of dates. The new album is a deep reflection on the overwhelming nature of the modern world and its impact on our emotional well-being. Americana UK said, "Dark times, but not without hope," the theme of a pleasingly varied record that bears repeated listening. Wow. Blurry Vision is number 18 on our top 30 chart this week. And with me today is Sage McBride and Tim Newton. Welcome to On the Rise.
Hello. Thanks
Hello.
so much for having us.
Wonderful to have you. The album is catchy, evocative, stirring, like all those good things. It's definitely a ride. I'm so curious, what was the spark that kind of ignited this album into action?
I think it was written sort of during 2020 and 2021, and Tim and I were new parents at the time. So our daughter was just turning 1 in March of 2020. We'd just come out of sort of like the blur of the first year of parenting, and we're ready to kind of like get back into a regular rhythm of life. And then it was sort of all shifted again. So a lot of it came from kind of what we were feeling in sort of that sort of like uncertain times, and we were feeling really stressed, and also our support systems were cut off. We were just like alone for the better half of a year, sort of in this parenting world, and like really cut off from community and support. And I think that lended itself to a lot of the lyrics and sort of themes in the album. But then we also were leaning on each other a lot more than maybe anyone would have to in previous times. So it also kind of like deepened our bond, which was reflected in some of the songs too. So it was, so definitely a roller coaster of sort of like fear, appreciation, like what the hell is going on?
The correct response to, a huge human event. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Tim, I'm curious, what was it like, being sort of having the band be out of commission, being away from your other bandmates? How did that affect the band?
Yeah, during that time, it was pretty tricky. We were so used to being on the road constantly. We're definitely a very big, that's a large part of our careers, just being on the road. So that was, having that cut off was definitely a jolt to us. But we pivoted and we did the best we could. At that time, we kind of became pretty creative about how to continue as a band. We released an album in the middle of that, and we couldn't tour it. So we got online and started doing concerts the best way we could. And we started an acoustic concert series every week online. And then we have a rehearsal space with 2 different rooms that we can access. And so we even got creative where Sage and I would be in one room, the band would be in masks in the other, and we'd have 2 cameras, and we'd be jamming along on these like live concerts. So, we just kind of pivoted, and it really, we had to get really good at the new technologies of streaming our band and getting it sounding good. It was kind of this giant creative new adventure for us. So that kind of kept us busy. And even today, as things are a bit, back to normal with touring and concerts and stuff, we get a lot of people coming to the shows saying, "You guys got us through that time, like your live concerts online." So that's really like, it's heartwarming to hear that we were able to like bring some sort of like sense of normalcy to people and get them through being so isolated, I guess. So.
Yeah. Sage, when it was time to record this album, and the band was like back together in a safe way, what was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We went to a place in Gibson's on the Sunshine Coast to record sort of the beds of the album. So we were all living in one house together. So it was a pretty special time to be able to sort of come together and have that time to be creative with one another in such a beautiful location. And we were all cooking meals together, and my mom came to help out with childcare. So she would sort of like, we'd record and then we'd come in and like, we'd all have a family meal together. So it was kind of a beautiful time to sort of reconnect with one another after sort of having to do things in such a strange way previously. Yeah, it was a really nice experience that we had out on partly in Vancouver and then also on the Sunshine Coast. So yeah, it was lovely.
That's great. And such a nice sort of like mindful and an intentional way to re-enter into the land of Shred Kelly and being a band on the go. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was great to chat with you and hear, about the album. All the best. You've got some tours coming up in the spring, and I believe you're going to be in Alberta in April. So folks, check your calendars and go to their website to find out when exactly they'll be in your neck of the woods. From the album Blurry Vision, in at number 18 this week, this is Better Times.